I cannot wait to show people that tape. It is so fun.
Oh yeah, I think
I
it's
can't tell
really
you too much, but I can tell you that I did murder somebody. I think I did good. I know I messed up some choreography, but I did good for me. I don't know. I think I did really good. And again, I'm like, I know that you're using multiple takes, and there's an edit there where I didn't flub at all.
it's difficult, and at the end of the day, it's a TV show, and they're going to try and show the worst bits because it makes the best television, unfortunately. So it's kind of.
Well, they're going to show the worst bits when they want to have that person in the bottom, but
Did
they're
you
not
get
with
on
that.
with everyone on your season, or is there someone that you either didn't get on, or maybe you just don't speak to that often?
Well, when we were filming, I was so growing ever so annoyed with Fierce Delicious. I could not stand her. By the end of it, I was like, oh, girl, like, please, please, please stop.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back for some more freshly brewed drag tea. Today, I have with me a stunning queen who entertained us with her quirky personality and creative runways when she competed on season 3 of Canada's Drag Race. I'm super excited for you all to get to know her better and learn more about her amazing journey in drag. We'll, of course, be talking all things Drag Race, and I'll be asking some of the amazing questions you all sent in. Please join me in welcoming the Snot Rocket herself, the amazing Irma Gerd.
Hello, Matt. How are you? Hi, everyone. Hi, listeners.
Hi. Thank
Just
you so
giving
much
you a
for being
little pick my nose and flick it, That's how I walk into a room these days.
And I can see you've got sort of like green and green, it's very on brand for the snot.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Thank you so much for being here. I know my audience was very excited to hear from you, and I loved you on the show. You were so much fun. So it
Thank
was.
you. I loved you on the show too.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's great just to sort of get to know you a little bit, and I'm sure we'll ask you some questions and spill some tea, maybe.
Well, I'm more of a coffee drinker, but I'll spill
Oh,
something because I'm clumsy.
we'll spill some sort of hot beverage.
Mhm. Somebody's groin will be unusable by the end of the day.
It's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, so I was wondering if to start off, maybe you could sort of give us a little bit of an introduction to Irma Gerd and tell us a little bit about how you got started in drag and like where your name comes from.
Oh, well, I mean, my name comes from the meme, Irma Gerd Gersberms, that one from like 2014, because I'm an ancient creature. Um, yeah, so Goosebumps is there, and then the drippy, slimy thing that's always kind of been part of the brand. But I am also the mother of the house of the Flemme Fatales, and we're just like a bunch of goopy, sticky, weirdo drag creatures. And that's what I do. That's what I do is weird drag. I love it. I'm not afraid to be a little ugly. I love being wacky and stupid.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of how you came across on the show as well. I thought you were very quirky and very creative and kind of, yeah, like not you had glamour, but it was kind of like a bit, yeah, with an edge to it. There was a bit funky or a bit.
Stupid glamour. Yeah. I didn't answer your question at all. When did I start doing drag? 10 years ago in Toronto. I moved to Toronto, and I thought I was going to be like a famous artist because I had just graduated art school, and everybody in Newfoundland was like, "You're so good at art." So I thought I'd just walk into Toronto and take over the scene, which did not happen. So I immediately started working at a fast food chain. And yeah, I kind of, for an outlet, started going to the drag shows, started flyering for the drag shows, and then started doing props and then backup dancing. And then, so, eventually you have the wig on your head and you're like, I guess I'm the show. And that's how I got sucked into it.
Wow, okay. So that's
Yeah,
it's
it was an
interesting.
accident. I didn't mean to be this sexy.
Well, you can't help it. You can't help you're that fabulous.
I can't, ever since the accident.
No, it's a really interesting way, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. You start off like you get your foot in the door and start doing stuff like flyering, and then you eventually end up being the show. Um,
Yeah, just
you
keep putting
talked,
your foot places.
yeah, and you talked about Newfoundland and Toronto. So, can you sort of explain sort of where you're from, where you moved to, and where you are now? Because on the show you said you were from Newfoundland, and that's what your sort of name
Hmm.
said and everything. So is that kind of what is that relationship?
Well, if you don't know the geography of Canada, so Newfoundland is Canada is like a big place, right? It's a lot bigger than the UK. And Newfoundland is probably about the size of the UK, but it is an island on the east coast of the continent, like out in the ocean. There's we're floating around here, minding our business. There's not a whole lot going on here. So access to materials is not not as easy to find it as things in Toronto. So getting ready for the show was really difficult. Yeah, it's the size of the UK, but it has probably the population of I wish I had a reference to pull, but I don't know the UK that well. I was going to say Essex, but probably Essex has like 5 times the population of Canada. I don't know. I am not good with numbers. I'm not a mathematician.
No,
What's a tiny place in UK?
a tiny place. I mean, the UK is tiny, but very, very populated.
Oh, population wise.
I did look up Newfoundland because I didn't know much about it. I didn't even know how to pronounce it until you said it on the show. I would have said Newfoundland rather than Newfoundland. But
yeah, we get a lot of Newfoundland or Newfoundland. I don't know. It's just like Newfoundland. Disneyland, understand, Newfoundland.
oh, that's a good way of actually. Yeah, I mean, I'll remember it that way now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I looked it up. I know it's the 16th biggest island in the world,
Oh, well,
according to Wikipedia.
every day is a school day.
Yeah, so but then you said because obviously Toronto is not where Newfoundland is, like obviously Toronto's
And yeah, so Toronto is like central Canada. They think they're on the East Coast for some crazy reason. They're like, oh yeah, we're like East. Like it's crazy that you think we're central. I'm like, girl, you are central. Toronto is like the center emotionally of Canada. Everybody's there. Has all the kind of things that you would want for drag. So the girls in Toronto have it a lot easier when it comes to getting ready for the show.
And so,
They have wig designers, they have costume makers, they've got custom fabric. We don't.
So did you used to live there then in Toronto?
Yes. So I moved to Toronto when I finished art school. I was there for maybe 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. Um, Started doing drag right before I came home. Brought my drag to like this drag character that had newly been formed. Brought her to Corner Brook, Newfoundland, which is really like imaginary at best. Started doing drag at like my university like bar, I guess is the best way to say it. Some things in an art gallery, like there was no drag venue. It's just there was nobody else doing drag. It was just me kind of having fun. People are like, what is happening? Like, what are you doing? You used to be such a normal person. Said, no, I wasn't. Never was. Yeah, and then I guess moved to St. John's in 2014, which is 8 years ago. I don't know. Math doesn't line up. The math doesn't line up. There's some kind of time vortex that happened around that 2013, I think. There was an extra year that we lost. I don't know where it went.
Who knows? But it's interesting to hear that you moved. So is it so? Why did you then decide to sort of come back to Newfoundland and not stay in Toronto?
The money. Toronto is so expensive. I don't know how people pay. Let alone the rent, and then you have to buy the groceries and then have fun, and then they all seem to be doing drugs. I'm like, where's the money coming from? I'm here trying to get a cheeseburger and live in a cardboard box. Like, it ain't gonna happen. So I moved back to Corner Brook to live with my parents, and then said, okay, I can't do this. I can't live with my parents. So it was kind of like Goldilocks, too big, too small. And when I found out the size of St. John's and was like, oh, my friends from school all kind of moved there. Maybe I should try that out. And I came out for a weekend, and it was just immediate. Like, and the other thing about Toronto is that people were tough nuts to crack. Like, I couldn't find a niche to break into. Everybody was really cliquey and whatever. Eventually I did, but it was just so much, work to try and find any friends at all. And then I moved to St. John's, and like day one, I was friends with everybody here, and people who are very successful in the art community just openly welcome me in. And I got art gallery gigs because that's what I was trying to do at the time. I was working, doing art shows and things, and eventually I kind of said, I don't really think hanging art on the wall is what I want to be doing. Like, you put it on the wall in a gallery, and then the audience looks at it and maybe sends you a message and says they like it. There's no what's the word I'm looking for? Participation between the creator and the audience. So drag was kind of a thing where I was getting that. And then I thought, I still want to be doing these like conceptual performance-y things. And that's how my drag and my art kind of married each other. And I was doing art performances in drag in the galleries alongside like Newfoundland's premier contemporary artists, visual artists. It's so that's kind of where my career was taking off. And then I kind of decided to just invest in drag.
Well, we're glad you did, because obviously I think the thing people might know you better, my audience probably will know you best from, is season 3 of Canada's Drag Race. And that obviously got you into that. So can you sort of explain a little bit about how you got involved in Drag Race? Like, did you apply for the other seasons and things like that?
Yeah, so I did apply for all 3 seasons. And the first one, I was, I think I finished a gig and like came home and just recorded it like the day that it came out. Was like, oh, finally they did the announcement. I'm in drag. I might as well just record it now. And I went and looked back at it and was like, this video is bad. I did get a call back, and but I looked back and I was like, this was a bad video. And then the second year I did an audition again, and I had just gone through a breakup, and I was like, I looked at that video and was like, oh, that is a depressed person. So it's like that one makes sense. I didn't get a call back for that one. I was like, that makes sense. That makes sense. I was just like sitting in a chair, like answering the questions, very bored. But then my third one, I cannot wait to show people that tape. It is so fun. It's so fun. And it is the most me that I think has ever been captured on tape.
Oh, yeah, I think it's
I can't tell you too much, but I can tell you that I did murder somebody.
That's very intriguing now. And we want to see, Irma Gerd murdering someone.
Irma Gerd, it's a murderer.
Because I think it's we don't really get to see the tapes that often. They obviously quite often they don't release them, but it's interesting hearing people's stories about how they progressed. And it's always interesting, people who say, be yourself and just do the tape, and that's what they're looking for. And it sounds like the third time lucky really was for you, the charm.
Mm-hmm.
And so in terms of, then you got the call to say that you're going to be on season 3, which is obviously very exciting. And can you sort of talk us through a little bit about the process for getting ready for Drag Race? Like, how did you manage to get all the looks together? Or like, did you do it yourself, or was it, being in Newfoundland, like what was that kind of like?
Listen, the time that they give you to prepare for Drag Race is the most stressful thing you will ever do in your entire life. And I am not kidding. Like, once I got to the show, I was like, whew, I did it. We hadn't filmed a lick of a scene yet. And I was like, we did it, Joe. Because, trying to get, I think it was like 14 looks together, because you have to get some of the, it's not just the runways. You have to also prepare your Snatch Games and some of the mini challenges. It is a lot. It is a lot to pull together in a short amount of time. And like I already said, getting things here in Newfoundland, like, this was, it was in the winter, which is like an extra kind of delay because we live on an island and most things come by air or ground. Nothing's coming from like central Newfoundland. So if the flights are delayed, if the boats get delayed, and the boats get delayed a lot and for a long time, then materials just aren't coming. So ordering something, you could order it the day that they tell you you're cast, and it probably won't be there in time. So I actually had a full outfit. My finale outfit didn't arrive, period. Still hasn't arrived. It got lost in the mail. Uh, so I luckily was sent home 2 episodes before the finale because I just wore my tea time high tea outfit for the finale. But yeah, getting ready was brutal. I did most of it was myself and my drag child backslash garbage file, and we did almost everything. No, there were some outfits I got made by Keith Roberts and Jess McDonald and Terra Nova, and they all kind of helped piece things together. Working, taking the sleeves from this outfit and the dress from this outfit. Oh, and Nicole Maddox. And I got to Drag Race and I didn't have any of my wigs styled. So the quarantine week, I was like just styling wigs in my hotel room. So yeah, it was just like go, 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 go.
Yeah, it must be a very crazy experience, especially because being somewhere that's quite maybe a bit more isolated and remote, it's difficult to get materials to try and get outfits ready for a TV show that is ultimately going to be one of the most important things from your career, especially if you're trying to sort of show your drag. It must be so stressful.
And nobody here is doing stuff on that kind of caliber, right? Like people are doing outfits for drag shows, and people are doing outfits for theater, and there are TV shows that are filmed here, but those are very different kind of costume pieces. Like nobody's doing high fashion drag designer fashion stuff. That's just not really happening here. I mean, it is just in a very different way, So it was really it was difficult, but it was fun to approach these people and kind of say, I'm working on a thing, because you couldn't tell them. I'm working on a thing, and it's a big deal. I'm trying to impress upon them, I'm doing Drag Race without saying I'm doing Drag Race. And then for working with them to try and put together something that, was probably going to be seen by more people than have ever seen their stuff. Right? That's exciting.
And that was you. You were the person who was being seen by all those people. So it's kind of, it must be kind of crazy to think about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, not just about myself, but about the people that I got to work with. And I sketched out all the looks, but then it's kind of a collaboration because a sketch isn't an outfit. So I really have to say thank you to these people who helped make the outfits for me, because I obviously can't make 14 outfits myself. I can barely make one. And I can make an outfit despite what the design challenge showed. It's just I need more time to do that. One of the outfits I made, I think I spent 4 days doing, 5 days. And it's maybe that wasn't a great use of my time. I should have just got somebody else to make it, but I wanted to wear things that I made.
Yeah, and I think your outfits were always really cool, and you always had a very interesting perspective on it, and I think it was very much your brand, and you weren't doing anything like anyone else was doing. So I think you achieved that and more, because a lot of your outfits were so memorable and so cool. And we can sort of talk about that a little bit when we get to sort of a bit later in that. But one thing I wanted to sort of ask about was obviously, so you do get on the show to and you start taping it, and you can't tell anybody, and you get there. When you then walk through the door on that first day, what does that feel like, thinking I'm on Drag Race and you've got all the other queens there as well?
Oh, it was so fun. I remember being in such a good mood that morning. I was like, oh my God, it's this is real. This is real. You're standing in some dingy little room just waiting for somebody to come collect you to go to the workroom, and you're just pacing around. My shoes that I wore were a size too small, but they were the perfect color. So I had to wear them. So I was just okay, I won't wear these shoes until I'm ready to walk out that door. And I'm just pacing around in my little Barbie doll feet. Okay, what can I do? What can I do? I need to pass the time. So I found this box of tissues and was like, wouldn't it be so funny if I walked in with tissue up my nose? Like, how perfect would that be? I think my line, my entrance line was just going to be like, I'm here to have a good time. And I was like, I'm gonna change it. And so they came to pick me up and I'm like, I have a new entrance line. They're like, ah! Sorry, what? And I'm like, okay, can Irma say this? Because it has to be like cleared or I guess made sure that I don't know, they had to run it by people, I guess for legal reasons or make sure nobody else has said it. I don't know. Um, yeah, so they made sure, and then I'm standing at the like behind the little wooden wall, and it's like, can I say it, please? I'm gonna say it. And they're like, yeah, go ahead, go ahead. So I just walked out. Want a boogie?
Anybody want a boogie? Oh my. Because I'm here to have a real good time.
That's a fun story, and it's fun to hear. Like, obviously, that must be how creative you are that you can just come up with something like that on the spot by seeing some tissues.
I'm a lot better at coming up with things on the spot than I am planning them, for sure. And a lot of the show is like planning things that I was like, oh, I wish it was more like actual improv. Like the improv challenge, the Snatch Game, I ate that, right? Uh, but scripted kind of things is where I kind of falter.
Yeah, I guess it's difficult. You can't be good at everything, and I think if that's what your forte is, then great, you know. And so with the tissue thing, obviously part of like I think a lot of your brand is this whole like Snot Rocket and stuff.
Take me to the moon. Introducing Snot Rocket. 6 stellar shades that'll take you to infinity and past infinity.
Can you explain how that came about and what exactly that means? I know some people in the questions, my subscribers, asked what that actually means.
I don't think it really means anything. It's just fun. So many people focus on being like fierce and fabulous and gorgeous and slaying. I'm like, I just want to walk in as a booger. I want to be a drippy little booger. I like, the season 3 girls, when it was Heathers versus boogers, I'm like, I would be a booger and I would own that, Like growing up being bullied, it's like you're always called like a weirdo and a nerd and whatever. And then at a certain point, you're like, no, I am a weirdo and a nerd. Like they're right. They're just making me feel bad about it. I'm like, no, I will take pride in that. And so that's kind of where that mentality comes from. Like I always am like kind of happy to be an underdog and tell people who are underdogs, like, you're actually a lot cooler than those Heathers, So that's kind of where I was coming with that.
Okay, that's interesting. No, it's nice to hear that you've taken something that perhaps before you thought was a negative thing, and then you've kind of twisted that, and now you're using that to your strength. Like that's always amazing, and I think that's so sort of. I'm sure a lot of other people can relate to that, because they see themselves as being boogers or whatever, even though they're not, or even if they are, who cares? It's a good thing. So
yeah, and like the term booger queen is like it's stupid, to judge anybody else's drag. Like I know I went on a competition reality show to have my drag judged, but nobody should be judging anybody's drag ever, period. Right? Like the Boulets say, drag is art and art is subjective.
It's true. I mean, who says what's good drag and what isn't? Because it's
exactly. Like, even if you're walking out looking like busted, but you're feeling the fantasy, then you're doing high drag, right? It's all about the fantasy. Like we're all just living it. We're all being who we want to be and like having like being a little gender clown.
Yeah, and I thought you always were really good. Like I never saw you as being a booger in the sense of being bad. Like I always thought you came across as being very polished and you were very funny. You had lots of funny like moments, and your talking heads were always really good. Your outfits were always very polished, I thought. In terms of the show, obviously you were there for quite a long time, so we can't go through every challenge because otherwise we would be here until next year. So I just wanted to sort of talk a little bit about some of maybe your key moments on the show, because you had a very interesting run, I thought, on the show. Your track record, I thought, was when I thought about, I don't know about anyone else, when I thought about you, I remembered you being very sort of like stable and always being safe and good. And then when I looked at the track record, I didn't
No.
realize
Very volatile.
All up, literally, you were safe, low, high, bottom two eliminated. Like, it's crazy.
A true versatile queen.
And I just wanted to hear your opinion on that. Like, did you ever feel like you were going to be going at any minute, or maybe you were going to be in the top at any minute, or did you feel quite stable in the competition?
I mean, I think I felt very manic while I was there. It's like, but I don't know, manic, and at the same time, like, there was no world that I was ever going to leave. Like, I'm going to win this thing. But also, oh no, I'm going home right now. Like, they're not even going to finish filming this. We're doing our new day in the workroom and they're going to eliminate me. So I don't know, like, bouncing up and down like that was definitely a roller coaster. I thought there were challenges that I thought that I was going to do really good in that I did bad in, and ones that I thought that I was going to do bad in that I did good in. And then ones that I did good in and I was in the bottom four. So there was some gaslighting going on, I think.
That was going to be my question. I was going to say, was there a because you did have such sort of mixed track record, and I think there were definitely some challenges where I think people would agree that you should have been in the top and you weren't. I was going to ask, was there a particular challenge, or maybe several challenges, where you didn't agree with the placement that you had, whether it was you thought you should have been higher than you were or lower than you were?
I thought I should have won the design challenge.
I'm showing the judges what 20 years at clown college looks like. I'm juggling these blue balls, doing a fantastic job. You can't even see the strings.
Was this when you did your clown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I should have won that, and I'm saying that with a straight face.
I'll say about the clown, it was memorable. I remember the clown. Of all of the outfits, I definitely
Do you remember
that.
any other outfit?
No.
Clear winner to me. No, the clown is bad, but I love it. I stand by the concept. The execution, not so much. But yeah, for serious, it's like the Snot Rocket one, the makeup challenge. I thought that was edited weird because they were laughing at my jokes and they were like, "This is a good, like, you know, we're filming the thing," and it's like, "Haha, we're having fun." And then I see the like final edit that they show you. I'm like, my jokes aren't in there, and it's like the timing is really weird. And I know we filmed like other versions of that shot where I looked a lot better. So it felt very like they needed to have somebody in the bottom. And here I am in my paint by numbers look, and I look good. So why am I in the bottom? Why am I lip syncing? So I was not really actually prepared to lip sync that week. Just like I really thought my outfit was going to save me. You know, I don't think I was going to win that one, but I think I should have been safe.
That was the one challenge I was actually going to say. I thought that episode in general, just from my own observation, I thought the placements were very wonky, including yours. Like, I was so surprised that week. That was the one week I remember where I was like, "What?" But
yeah. And then the next week, the musical, I think I did good. I know I messed up some choreography, but I did good for me in the choreography. And I think that they judge it, or they should judge it based on like that one person's, you know, personal growth or whatever. So the way that I started like that challenge choreography wise and where I finished, it's like, I don't know. I think I did really good. And again, I'm like, I know that you're using multiple takes and there's an edit there where I didn't flub at all. But you know, you can't blame it on the edit. You have to say, well, I did what I did. Yeah, and I think vocally I thought that would save me a little more too, but whatever.
My sister, she makes her money like a swindler. Is she a tycoon or a grifter? Oh, Oh, and she sings out of tune.
What? No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
It's difficult, and at the end of the day, it's a TV show, and they're going to try and show the worst bits because it makes the best television, unfortunately. So it's kind of...
Well, they're going to show the worst bits when they want to have that person in the bottom. But they're not going to show that worst bit if they aren't. Right?
100%.
Because, I mean, for every challenge, like, the winner could have an edit where they're in the bottom as well. You know, everybody's making mistakes all the time. It's just what do they choose to show?
Yeah, that's what I always think. There's certain challenges where you can kind of see if someone is being eliminated, they're going to try and justify that by giving you the worst edit. And unfortunately, obviously, you were eliminated that episode, so it kind of made sense if you then didn't do well in the challenge, even if they edited it to look that way.
And I mean, the real tea on the musical is Giselle and I had a fraction of the time to rehearse as everybody else. And this is something like, you know, again, they kind of said you might get different amounts of time, but we didn't expect we would have 1 day to rehearse when everybody else had 2.
Drink your tea or coffee, sorry.
Oh, ow. I think I burnt my tongue on that hot piping coffee.
Well, so can you say why you only had 1 day and everyone else had 2?
So it was evening rehearsals and morning rehearsals. And in the evening rehearsal, we just like kept getting bumped. And we're like, I think we were supposed to be second or third in like the rehearsal cycle. And then they just like bumped us. And we're like, okay, we'll get the next one, I guess. And then the next one came around and they're like, oh, we don't have enough time. So we didn't get to rehearse our choreography with Hollywood Jade until the next morning. And Giselle kind of threw a bit of a fit and was like, girl, like, this isn't going to go down like this. Like, give us some rehearsal time. Show us our choreography. Because at this point, all we had done was the bit that we had filmed on camera, which is like step, boob squish. It's like, it's not very much at all. Yeah, and so we were like trying to make up choreography basically, and then when we finally got with Hollywood Jade, he was like, oh yeah, that looks good, let's change this part and this part and this part. And it's like, okay, what, you know, some of it is us, some of it is you. The tap dancing bit, we were like, we haven't even touched it yet. You want us to actually kind of tap dance when we're like, there's like horse sound effects in here. Like, what is going on? So we just didn't have like everybody else got to sleep on their choreography and we had to do it the day that we filmed.
So do you think perhaps would you say that maybe you were set up to fail deliberately?
Sabotage.
Seems like sabotage. Feels like sabotage. If the saboteur wants to get out of my way.
Sabotage. Hold on. 4444. Hello, Fierce. Fierce, they're talking about you. That's me dialing my phone. If your podcast, so you can't see me playing with my phone.
This is videoed as well, so it's both.
This is video?
I told you it was in the email, didn't I?
Oh, I thought we were just doing I thought it was just audio. I didn't know.
No, it's both.
Should I be in drag right now?
You could do whatever you want.
I would have been in drag if I knew it was a video.
It's a YouTube show.
Lovey. Lovey. Say it. Say Lovey.
Say Lovey. So yes, this is both. This is not just audio.
Hi, YouTube.
I'm glad you're just realizing 37 minutes in, but thank you.
What can I do? I can put on a wig.
I think it kind of, we don't mind seeing you out of drag, so who cares? Like, better that you.
We're good. All the eyelashes on the counter. They have no adhesive left on it.
Well, so yeah. So going back, in terms of, do you think they do things like that to try and make someone fail? Like, is that a deliberate thing, or is that just poor planning on their part?
I don't know how deliberate it is or not. Um, I mean, like when you look at it from like a workday perspective, they were like, okay, we need to utilize the time to get people to learn the harder choreography. I don't know. It sucks when you're in the position of like feeling like you're being over, whether you're being over or not, but when you feel like you are, it just isn't a great place to be mentally,
No,
especially when you have to perform feeling that way and you're like, uh, you know, it felt like the writing was on the wall.
that was going to be my question. I was going to say, so obviously, unfortunately, you were eliminated on that episode, the Rusical. Was
Spoilers.
there a point when you thought, like, yeah, I'm going home, like, this isn't my season, I'm not winning?
Um, I don't know. Like right until the end, I held on to hope, I think. But when they did say my name, I wasn't like hurt. I was like, no, yeah, I get it. I mean, like I did do what I did in this challenge, and it wasn't as good as other people. And Giselle won that lip sync. I love her, and I'm happy that she's the one who sent me home. Like I got to go home to the best. She's the winner, so that's good. I won a lip sync, even if it was a weird one. So I feel like I got like the true drag race experience, making it most of the way there.
Yeah, I think you definitely had like a great run. And like, let's talking about some of like your sort of like the high points. I think for me, the challenge that I remember the most for you was Snatch Game, because you did obviously Norma Jean or whatever, and
Maryland.
I was like, don't say Marilyn Manson. What is the name? You only have like I was like, that's not what I meant.
Oh my god, I love it.
I was like, what is, you only have a blank and you're like, do not say the thing that you're trying to say.
Yeah.
So you did Snatch Game and you did Marilyn Monroe. And I thought it was really fun because I think I'm surprised no one else has done that before. Well, someone did it either.
Ivy Winters did it,
but no one else has done it.
She did it
I feel
bad.
like, why didn't she? And she didn't really do a great job. You did such a good job. It was so funny, and you were so like, I think you actually did a really good impersonation. You weren't just a dumb blonde. You kind of were a smart dumb blonde, which is really interesting. I thought.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was drawn to that character. Was like I can be this kind of ditzy, bombshell person, and then have that moment of like, actually, I'm very intelligent under here. This is just how a lot of women have to navigate the world. And that's kind of what I wanted to do with that one. And Marilyn wasn't even one of my choices until like late in the game. So I was going to do, for the audition tape, I did Drac Morta from the Boulets, which I did on my TikTok. And then Val Garland from Glow Up. Ding dong. Which Beverly Kills ended up doing on her season. And I would have done a better job. Sorry, Beverly.
I think she would agree. I mean, I've interviewed her. I love Beverly. She's amazing. But yeah,
I love that.
She was like, yeah, it wasn't it. She was like, I thought it was gonna be funny, and it wasn't. And I was like, yeah, it's a difficult character to make funny. But when you said you were doing Marilyn, I was slightly like, oh, because only one person's done it. And it's one of
everybody in the workroom was like, because I was like, who am I gonna do? Like, I have both of these outfits like on the table. We are about to start painting, and they've like already filmed us talking about who are you gonna do for Snatch Game. I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna go for Val, if I'm gonna go for Marilyn. And they were like, you need to pick right now. And I'm like, oh, I'm going with my gut, Marilyn, even though everybody was like, how are you going to make Marilyn funny? Like, she's been done before. She's not funny. She's not a funny person in real life. Like, why are you picking this character? I said, I'm confident. And they said, okay, give us some jokes. give us your Marilyn. Give us a joke. And I was like, I'm not giving you any of my jokes. And I said that to Brooklyn in the like interview bit. Like, she's like, okay, give me one of your jokes. And I was like, happy birthday. And they're like, yeah, this isn't funny. And I'm like, I know. I don't want you to think it's funny until we film it, and then I'm gonna, then I'm gonna go off. So I was really hoping for that edit of, ooh, this person's gonna fail. Oh wait, they won.
That's very smart, because that's what I often think when people do a character, they do the walkthrough with whoever the host, they always give the most obvious jokes, and I'm like, you're just giving them half the material, now you can't use it, otherwise they're gonna say you're repeating yourself. So I was like, that's actually really smart.
Yeah, like it's a setup when they're asking you to give up their joke. You're like, and even when you're watching the show, when you see them, like they say the joke, you're like, haha, that's funny. And then they do it in the challenge. You're like, you did that joke. Check that off you don't laugh at it a second time. So yeah, that was very intentional to be like, and that's Marilyn, right? To be like, ooh, I don't have any jokes. I'm just pretty. And then to show up and be like, actually, I'm here and I've planned it all.
The evil genius.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I really thought I was going to win that one too.
I think you were, to me, when I watched it, it was really close between you and Giselle, because Giselle was also really funny, and like with the arms and everything, it was just so crazy.
Giselle is so funny.
You were so good.
We finished filming and we were washing our faces off in the bathroom like afterwards. And she's like, girl, how does it feel? You just won the Snatch Game. I was like, I know. And then sure enough, we're like, Giselle, you win. She's like, great. But yeah, I really thought I was going to win, because I was like, I had people in the crew cracking up laughing. It was so much fun.
Sexual artifice and availability. Sorry, tits.
It was really good, and it was very almost unexpected, not because of you, but just because she's not a particularly known for being funny, and it can be very hit and miss. It's like when people say they're going to do Beyonce, and you always think, okay, well, how's this going to go? But then you came out, and I was so surprised at the first thing you said. I was like, oh, actually, she's really funny. So,
well, and I kind of, screwed up on the comedy challenge in episode 2, the awards one. So it's like I hadn't yet really shown people that I'm a funny person. It's which felt really bad, because I'm like, here I am on Drag Race trying to be like, I'm a comedian and I'm not funny. And so it was really nice to show up on episode 5 and be like, here I am, like, really got to tell people who Irma is, or show people really. And that felt really good. So I was starting to feel like, okay, a win is in the future. And it was like, no, the next week, going home. Oh wait, no, it was 2 weeks later. Never mind.
Yeah. It was
like
really
I said, I'm not a mathematician.
You don't have to be when you're that, fabulous. So
when I'm that pretty, I can't do math. I had to Google how old I was yesterday. It's because I was like, I don't remember if I'm 32 or 33. So I don't want to do the math. So I Googled it. That's how much I avoid doing math. Said, if I was born on this day, how old am I? I said 33, and I said, okay, I'm 33. Great. I don't have
how old I am. It's fine. Just lie and say you're 21. Like, it's fine. Who cares?
I am not 21.
Yeah, and you should be really proud of, you had an amazing run on the show, even though you were very sort of up and down. I didn't really remember any of that. I only remembered the good bits of it, and I always thought you came across very well, and you were very quirky. Your looks were amazing. I mean, we can talk about the runways. Like, the painting by numbers was probably my highlight when I watched it. I was like, oh my God, that's like so cool. I've never seen someone do that. Do you potentially have a favorite outfit?
So yeah, I think I have trouble deciding between the paint by numbers and my uranium outfit, which I love it. I love it so much. And I think that they didn't quite understand the reference points that I was putting in there, and they're like, nice, it's like a yellow dress. And I'm like, it's more than that. Please understand. Please understand. And you write a little blurb about it, and you say your bit in the confessional, but yeah, it's impossible to go through and tell somebody every detail that you put in there and why, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I maybe, it was a bit of my downfall on the runway, was like putting too many ideas in and not being able to convey those ideas to the judges when I was like talking to them, because I was just too excited to be there.
Yeah, that's how you came across. You came across being very excited to be there, really happy,
Yeah.
like, loving yourself and like in the outfits. And like you said, I loved those outfits. All of them were really good. Even the clown, like it was still fun, even if
I
it was
look,
like,
I stand by the clown. Like I joke about it, but the clown is a great concept. And if I were to redo it with more time, I think it would be a total serve. But like the amount of time that they give you in a design challenge, I need far more than that if I'm going to be making an outfit. Like I'm just a slow worker.
yeah, that's fair enough. And yeah, I couldn't even do a lick of that. I couldn't. I'm terrible at that sort of thing. So I wouldn't be. I can't even comprehend how some of the people
Yeah.
create these. Like even if it's like not a very good look, I'm still like I couldn't do that. So I mean, I'm always impressed.
Yeah. And it's like I tried to hot glue it because everyone was like, we're the hot glue gun girls. And I'm like, yeah, hot glue. That's like definitely faster and would work better. And it did not. It did not work better. Like if I just took the time to sew it, I would have done so much better. But also I'm trying to like do things that I've never done before. Like I never worked with a hoop skirt before, and I was trying to make it look like a bit of a different shape by like sewing it to the front and the back, give it more elongated, to make these little ball pit things on the side. I don't know. But yeah, I if I had more time, it would have been really good, is what it comes down to.
And I mean, at the end of the day, even if people remember it not for like being the best outfit, but if people remember it, then who cares? And I think you showed that you do have amazing fashion and like really cool concepts, like the painting by numbers. I've never seen that done, and it was really good. And it just looked so cool. And then the uranium was also really fun. And like, even if you don't understand the references, it's still just a pretty cool
Yeah.
outfit. And like, you can still enjoy it. So that's always, I think, the good thing. Because if you have an outfit that needs loads of explaining, and even then it's not good, then that's not, whereas yours were always good.
Mm-hmm. And I think one that gets overlooked a lot is my sleeves outfit, where I really also thought that I was going to win that week, because Jada and I were a pair, and then she won the challenge. And I was like, it's a duet challenge. Why isn't it a double win? And my sleeves look is gorgeous. Like when I wear that, I am the most beautiful girl at the party.
I really liked that one too, because it was like just like the really elongated sleeve. And I thought that was really cool and really quirky, but still fashion. And that's
Yeah. And I was gonna do little hands at the end, but then I walked in and saw Giselle had it, and I'm like, no little hands.
yes, because I think Vivian also had little hands.
Vivian also had little hands, but yeah, hers were, oh no, she had long arms too. We could have all been doing that. But I thought, I'm gonna just it's fashion like by itself. It doesn't need the little camp bit at the end. And no regrets. No regrets.
No regret. That's great. So you had a really fun time on the show, like a really good run on the show. It was very up and down, but you still went on there to prove what you wanted to prove. And I think you really did. You did the thing, and I really enjoyed you on the show. Obviously we've talked about this earlier. The name of my show is Drag Tea Served. Even though you drink coffee. So I was wondering if you can serve us some drag tea and maybe tell us something that happened off camera that you wish had been shown, or something maybe that happened off, like that didn't get filmed that you wish had been shown.
Yeah, that actually they didn't show the scene where myself and Vivian, I actually plunged a knife deep into her heart in a ritualistic sacrifice. And yeah, they didn't air that. Which is really weird. And there was like a whole medical drama kind of moment where we had to patch her back up. Yeah, I don't know. No, I didn't do. I just like, I'm not a drama person, unless it's real drama, unless it's like if somebody's trying to be like transphobic or something, then I'm going to step in and you're going to see that side. But like if it's like, I don't agree with what you just said about your opinion on what I'm wearing. I'm like, that's so frivolous. I couldn't give a, it just doesn't really stand.
Did you get
What's
on
that?
with everyone on your season, or was there someone that you either didn't get on, or maybe you just don't speak to that often?
Well, when we were filming, I was so growing ever so annoyed with Fierce Delicious. I could not stand her. By the end of it, I was like, oh girl, like please, please, please stop. And then now post show, I'm like, oh, she's actually so funny. I love her so much. She's like, yeah, I think Giselle and Vivian and I are kind of like the comedy queens of the season, but people don't realize that Fierce is like one of the funniest people you will ever meet. She'll just say it with a straight face, and like you're like, oh, she's being a bitch. It's like, no, she's being funny. So I wish that I kind of got that a little more when I was on the show, because I would have played with her more, because I thought it was serious,
She came across. I think she's so entertaining, and like she definitely became kind of like the meme of the season with the sabotage. And I think you can kind of see that she does come across as being this like fierce fashion queen and stuff, and she always has quite a straight face. But actually, when you listen to what she's saying, she's actually just being funny. So I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
Well,
so I don't think they showed me being annoyed with her. Like maybe I think they showed one thing where I was saying she was annoying or something. It was just like a throwaway line somewhere. Yeah, but they didn't really show much about me in any drama.
No, you were. Sorry, there's a helicopter going past.
That's fierce. She heard she was being talked about. She's in the UK, isn't she? Oh my God,
yes.
You're in danger, Matt. Get out of the house. Get out of the house.
I mean, you had a great time on the show, and you never had like that much drama or anything. So I wasn't thinking you had something like that, but it would be. I thought, oh, I wonder how much the queens really did get on, because what we saw, it seemed quite a harmonious season. The only person that really had occasionally something to say was Fierce, and then everyone else seemed relatively cool and never said anything really.
I mean, no, there were other moments. Definitely there were other moments that didn't make the cut. Or they did make the cut, but were shown in a different light. As in, like, I'm mad at you, but they show it, I'm mad at you, which is very interesting. I'm not going to say which moment, but one of the big ones, I was like, that's not how it went down.
Yeah,
but it's all in the service of making a good TV show, right?
Yeah, I've heard that before from other people, and I always think, being a fan of the show like yourself and then being on it, did being on the show make you change your perception of the show at all?
Oh my God, watching Drag Race after being on Drag Race, it is a completely different show. Like knowing kind of like where they would stop and start, and how much time they're given, and how it's being like played off as like it's this amount of time, when it's this amount of time, like how they kind of I can't give away too much because I'm still under contract. But basically, watching it, I'm like, that's not what happened, and I can kind of intuit like, oh, I think I know what actually went down there. Like there's a bit on Down Under where I was like, ooh, I can tell that it's not a natural flow of a conversation. You can kind of hear the somebody's talking like this, it just kind of like changes. And you're like, oh, those are two different conversations put together. It's very fun.
Yeah, it's better when, I mean, obviously, because I interview queens and I do a lot of Drag Race stuff, because I'm a Drag Race like crazy person now. I notice it a lot more when I hear stuff from people, and then I watch the show, and I'm now started to notice, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely an edit. That's not quite what happened, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Well, I think you had a great run on the show, and I think you should be so proud of yourself. And I think that's what came across to me, was this, that you were this like really fun, quirky person. So I think, you did that, and you showed that you were amazing queen. So I'd love to get on to some subscriber questions. I've had lots of questions for you.
Yeah.
So someone asked, because obviously you didn't get to do the makeover challenge.
Yeah.
Someone said,
Yeah, we didn't. I'm mad about
someone said if you'd had done a family resemblance or makeover challenge, what would you have chosen as the other person's drag name?
Look, I have been holding on to this drag name basically since I started doing drag because I was like, someday I'll get on Drag Race, which means I'll get to do the makeover challenge, and I will get to name my child Avant Gerd.
That's really good. That's
Right?
good.
And I would have come out in like something kind of like Club Kitty weird fashion, and like that's what I was kind of like holding out for. I was like, okay, we'll do something really weird there. And yeah, it never happened.
Maybe for an All Stars.
Well, now I gave it away. Take it back.
Well, one of the questions, speaking of that, was, wait, would you? Well, the question is, I guess, first of all, would you do an All Stars is kind of a prerequisite to this question. But they were saying, if you did an All Stars, which of your Canadian sisters would you like to compete against?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I would absolutely do an All Stars if they called me. Let's see. I would love to see. Well, I mean, I'd love to do Drag Race with Vivian again, and I think like the best friend storyline is a fun one to play out. Who else would I love to see? I love Juicebox so much. We've done a few shows together, and like we just get on like a house on fire. We're so good. Hot nerds, slutty nerds is our brand. Another Twitch queen. And yeah, she went home first and is like thriving. So give her more TV, you know?
Yeah, I interviewed her the other day. Actually, it hasn't come out as of when we're speaking, but she's so fun, really, and she had like such cool insights. And I was like, oh, I wish we'd seen more. But she was really cool. And I think I saw a picture of the two of you on like Instagram or whatever, and I was like, oh, I'm interviewing both of them, so not together, but
that's so funny. We were together probably when you were like asking us to do it. Because I think so.
But someone else asked, we kind of touched a little bit on this subject earlier about the amount of time you get. Someone said, we all know that queens are given a limited amount of time to get ready for the runways, and many of them do full body makeup. The paint by numbers look was truly iconic and masterfully detailed, perfect even on your back. I'm wondering if you got any help from other queens while painting your body for that runway.
I think I had a couple numbers, maybe even just one number on my back. I think I got somebody else to do. But yeah, everything else I did myself.
That's very impressive because it was so. When you first walked out, I couldn't even at the beginning. I had to look really close to even tell what was outfit and what was painted on or whatever. And I was like, "Oh my god, that is insane! That's." It looked like it was printed. It was so good. I was like, "Oh god, I couldn't do that even if I was given 10 hours to do it."
Thank you. I really got that one down to like a bit of a science. So I was doing it for a little while on the road. I would go and do a set. And then I'd go backstage and I'd have 20 minutes to go from like normal drag to wipe off with a makeup wipe, cover it in white, do the lines, do the numbers, get the outfit on, get the wig on, get back on, do my number. And I wouldn't breathe during that entire time. But I was like, I can do this. I can do this. Yeah. So I really worked on that one to get my speed up.
Yeah, it was a great look. I loved the paint by numbers look. It's probably for me, that was probably my favorite of your looks. It was just so cool and really like well done as well in terms of very well executed, but also I immediately knew what it was. It was fun, it's irreverent, it's got a sense of humor, but it's also fashion, which for me is perfect.
Thank you.
So someone else asked, Newfoundland has very unique phrases such as who knit ya, how you getting on,
how's she getting on,
And drag has its own phrases, as we all know. Are there any Newfoundland specific terms or phrases that are used in the drag scene?
Oh, I know. I think we just kind of like use Newfie slang, and just kind of gay it up a little.
Well, can you explain what those? So, who knit you? What does that mean?
So, that's like, who are your parents?
Oh,
You? Yeah. Or where'd you come from? Who are
and
you? What's
how
your name?
you get
It could be
how
used.
you getting on? Does that mean how are you?
Yeah, I should get on. Yeah. One thing I always say, and I forget that it's like a Newfie thing, is like, what are you saying?
Does that mean what are you saying in terms of why you like? Can you clarify what you mean?
No, it's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you saying?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
It does though. It does though. And I say it and people are like, I'm saying hello to you. Like, oh, okay.
No, that makes no sense.
It's like, like, what are you saying? What are you talking about? What's going on? What's the word? What's the 411? What's the hot goss? What are the kids talking about?
Yeah, those ones make sense
anything
because
snack condom.
It's not using a word like saying. So because always saying is, but I mean, I'm British and I talk to a lot of like Americans and Canadians, and they quite often have no idea what I'm talking about. So I can sympathize.
It's like, it makes sense to us, and yeah, I guess no one else.
Well, great. Thank you so much for answering the questions. I'd love to get on to my quick fire round of questions.
Okay, let me hydrate.
So it's just 5 random questions. Some are drag related, some are not. And just the first thing that comes to your mind, first answer.
Okay, let's do it.
So, lipstick or lip gloss?
Lipstick. I don't want the hair stuck.
Yes or no, pineapple on pizza?
No. Yuck.
Favorite emoji?
The party horn with the confetti coming out of it, or sometimes the little smiley devil.
Cocktail or champagne?
Cocktail. Champagne gives me a headache.
And can you summarize your experience on Drag Race in one word?
Tits.
That is great. And I was like, as soon as you started doing it, I was like, I know what you're going to say. That was great. Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciated getting to speak to you. I loved you on the show. You were so fun. And, like I said earlier, I really appreciated your quirky but fashionable style. I hope we do see you on All Stars. If people want to sort of find out more about you, where can people find you? And have you got any sort of projects or anything coming up that is exciting?
Yeah, so I'm all over the internet. You can follow me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Foursquare, LinkedIn, Farmville, Gaga Farmville, Grindr, the Greco Delivery Pizza app, and basically anywhere that there is internet, I am there. So yeah, make sure you go follow, because I'm almost at 100,000 Twitter followers. Almost. I'm at 14. Just around the corner. Let's hustle. Yeah, so you can also find me. I'm on Twitch. I do Twitch streams, and that's like a fun little community that I'm building. And yeah, I've got some fun projects coming up. I guess the one big one that just got announced is that we're doing like a big scale theatrical production here in St. John's, and hopefully we'll get to take it on the road, but it's called Return to Planet Phlegm. And it's going to be a show with my drag family, the Phlegm Fatales. A story of love and adventure in space. Which is a show that we did in 2020, where I have this big poster on my wall for it. Bing! We're redoing it, rewriting it, revisiting it. Who knows?
Well, That sounds so fun. I mean, the Flemme Fatales is also a great name. So, well, thank you so much for being on. Like I said, so fun to get to speak to you and everything. And I really do hope that the Snot Rocket, we get to see more of them on All Stars, because that would be great.
Yes, all aboard. Am I your pick to win?
That's good. Well, thank you so much, and I had a very good time speaking to you.
Thank you, Matt. It was much better than good. It was good.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.